Welcome back to our MUTV election special. We got a lot more to come. One thing we really want to look at right now is Wisconsin.
That we do.
So we can just pull up a graphic from Wisconsin. I know that we have some more numbers in, and again, it's definitely one of the most important states for this show because it's our state. So we want to take a look at Wisconsin. We can throw that graphic up real quick. That'd be great.
And what we want to look forward to in Wisconsin, now we got 6%. We looked at it when it was 4%. We've got 174,000 votes. Romney's still ahead, though. It's a little surprising with 6% of the vote in. But even so, as we discussed earlier, we still want to wait for Madison and Milwaukee to get into the mix here.
I really don't think that at 6% we can really say we have a definite, definite resolution for who's going to win the state, especially because some of the media outlets out there are predicting the opposite of what we have on our graphic. So
that's true.
We'll see what comes out there. I do know that we want to take another look at Illinois. If we can pull Illinois up. Illinois, again, we've been talking about that a lot in our show. Pretty much clear cut right now for Obama, but we do have 44% of the votes in right now. Obama still bashing Romney.
He still is. 2.3 million votes out of the 44%, and Obama, I don't see that lead going anywhere whatsoever. We do want to take a look back at Florida soon. Florida is still 50-50 by the look of it, but we want to bring up that graphic. If we have it, that we do. 7.1 million votes. Obama, a slight lead by 1%. Do you see that going the other way?
I don't see it turning. I got to tell you, I was expecting Obama to take this one, and I think right now we're really leading more towards that. We still have about 18% of the votes waiting to come in, so we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the show. One more thing we want to look at: we were talking about North Carolina, Virginia. Yes. Haven't really talked about them at all during the show. No. If we can pull up a graphic for either of those states, that'd be great. We got North Carolina 79% in, and Romney ahead.
Perfect. As I expected, Romney is probably going to take this swing state. It is a big one for him. He absolutely needs it. Like Florida, it is a state that Romney almost needs to win because we think that Ohio is going to go to the president. So he needs North Carolina. He needs Virginia as well. So if you could please bring up a Virginia graphic. That is going to be another swing state. 13 electoral votes, and we see 2.2 million votes brought in. That's 58% of the total of the state, and Romney is ahead by 4%. So again, Mitt Romney needs this swing state in order to get the presidency. Otherwise, he's got no chance.
So Romney's pretty much doing his plan right now a little bit. Again, it's early in the night. I don't think we can make a definite conclusion whatsoever at this point. One thing that we talked about it really at the beginning of the show, is something that's going on in Minnesota.
That we do. We want to now take a look at one of the more controversial topics in this 2012 campaign, and that is going to be the Minnesota gay marriage ban. And it's one of those topic areas where the ballot, where the Minnesota citizens have the decision to decide whether or not gay marriage in the state will be legal. Now, the ballot gives the option of circling yes or no to the following statement, and I quote, "recognition of marriage solely between one man and one woman." Now, should the referendum be passed tonight, the proposed amendment would add a section to Article 8 of the Minnesota Constitution that reads, quote, "Only a union of one man and one woman shall be recognized or valid or recognized as marriage in Minnesota." Now, the referendum has been receiving considerable support from notable Minnesota politicians, including Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, who was a former presidential nominee for the Republican Party, or she was running for that. Now, we have right here with us, we've got Rebecca, and she is an LGBT...
Rachel.
Oh, Rachel, my apologies.
Rachel Berkowitz, there we go.
Rachel Berkowitz, LGBTQ advocate, and she is a supporter of the Vote No campaign, which is against this referendum.
I am.
Thank you for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This must be exciting for you.
Exciting, synonymous with nerve-wracking tonight. Yeah. I would have to say it's been a long day, but we'll
fill us in. Tell us what this is all about.
Of course. So basically, the amendment that we are talking about today is going to be the ban. In the other three states, when we're talking about Washington, Maine, and Maryland, if this is wood, I'm going to knock on it because Maryland is looking pretty good right now. Tonight, history could be made, so I'm feeling pretty positive. I'm in a good place right now.
How did you become an advocate for this gay marriage ban?
Yeah, basically family members, my brother came out to my family when he was in high school, but I would love to say that I would still be this passionate about it even if he hadn't. Close friends, teachers, you know, it's just, we're in 2012. It's really, sometimes it's really hard to see the yes vote right now, as strong as it is, the combativeness of the Catholic Church in Minnesota really coming out to play in this election.
I mean, and then that raises the question for me, how do you feel when you look at statements by presidential candidate Mitt Romney, when he obviously a very, very, let's say, strict stance on not only, you know, sexuality as a whole, but especially homosexuality. How does that hit you? You know, what do you take from that?
Mitt, you know, sometimes, I mean, it's really difficult to say because, as we know, President Obama really just came out this summer with his supportive statement, but, you know, tonight will be very telling in many different ways, and you know, Minnesota, the polls came out last week looking very, very positive by a small margin for the Vote No campaign, but obviously if we do elect candidate Romney, things could look very different in the future. So
you're definitely hoping that you're going to be at the end of the night or maybe tomorrow and you're going to have President Obama for the next 4 years?
That would be lovely, yes.
And I mean, and we bring that back to this year where Joe Biden kind of made the political gaffe in saying that Barack Obama really kind of does support gay marriage, and Barack Obama had to come out and say that he does.
Yep.
How did that affect the gay community as a whole and those that you know personally? I
think across the country, a collective gasp came from the LGBTQ community when Biden did come out and say that. Yes, it's easy to say Barack Obama had nothing to do but to come out and support, but in all honesty, I think it was a matter of time before the issue did come up. So I don't know, I can't really complain about the vice president's decision.
Yeah, I don't think it was really a surprise to anyone at that point. Right. It was just something that hadn't been said but kind of was wanting to be said or needed to be said. Now, obviously, I would assume that you're from Minnesota, correct?
I am. I live in Bloomington.
We want to look at Minnesota real quick. I know we have a graphic and some updates about Minnesota. 5% of the vote in, Obama ahead. Obviously, with 5% of the vote, not too much to be said, but I'm thinking Obama's pretty much going to take this one if we're going the way it's supposed to be expected, even with 5% in.
It was expected. Though he has 57% right now, I mean, it might be a slimmer margin than that. It is kind of a conservative state at times. You do have conservative Tim Pawlenty as governor in that state right now. So, again, it is a state that is probably going to be Obama tonight.
Does that make you happy if you're looking at Minnesota, your home state?
It does. I think it'll be interesting to see if we do end up, let's say Vote No does, let's say the amendment doesn't pass, with the way the ballot set up the way that it was, because the fact that if you do not fill out anything, if you leave both bubbles blank, that still counts as no. I think that we could be looking at a recount in some circumstances, which we haven't seen since 2008. And I don't know, it should just be really interesting to see the margin of error between the different.
That's true. Well, thanks so much, Rachel, for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rachel. We want to take a look now at Florida, which we do have an update on. So let's bring that graphic up right now. 29 electoral votes, 82% of the vote in, and Obama still has a 1% lead. So we haven't seen much change, but a couple more votes are in, just barely. So not much change there, but again, Mitt Romney needs that state to win this election.
Well, Florida's always one of those states that someone needs.
It always is. I mean, 0.001% went to George W. Bush back in 2000.
It was very close. Do you think it's going to be this close this time?
I think that it is going to end up probably a 50-49 split, something of the sort. But what we need to do right now is we need to take it on over to Miss Lisa Mihelich, who has another Twitter update for us.
All you, Lisa.
Welcome back to the social media updates. Now we have tweets from fellow Marquette students. First, we have Anthony. He says he can't believe lines are lasting over an hour to vote. Hopefully it doesn't turn too many people away. I hope not either, Anthony. Today's the day. Next, we have Marco Polo. He says, there was a long line to vote, but it was worth it. Time to take back America. Bryn says, I have a headache, so stressed, I need ice cream to cope. She also said that she saw someone on Facebook said, Bam Bam versus Mittens, who will win? I think if that was the election, I would need some ice cream to cope as well. Lastly, we have Eva. She said, waiting in line to vote. This is so exciting. I've been waiting for this moment for years. Well, many students, this is their first time today voting, and I think it's great that they're all getting their voices heard. And if you want to see more opinions from your peers, go on Twitter and type in MU election, hashtag MU election in your search bar, and you'll see all those tweets just for you. Now we're going to go back to Max and Kevin for some more updates.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Many sports fans across the nation may be keeping an eye on this election just to see who is elected president. The popular Redskins rule has held up in 17 of the last 18 presidential elections. The rule states that when the Redskins win their last home game before the election, the incumbent party always wins. And when they lose, the non-incumbent party wins. So in their last game before this election, the Redskins lost to the Carolina Panthers. So only time will tell if this rule is upheld again this election, won't we?
I think Romney's a new fan.
we'll see about that. I mean, RG3 only scored me 13 fantasy points last week, so jeez, I got to tell you. But
it's funny how every single show, regardless if it's news, politics, it always turns about sports.
I know. It's the great American tradition is sports. So what are you going to do? So right now, when we come back, we'll have a look at how Hurricane Sandy has affected the election so far. Yeah. And in fact, actually, it looks like we're going to be doing Hurricane Sandy right now. So, so in the meantime,
it's live, folks.
It's live, but
we make mistakes.
Hurricane Sandy, I mean, it hit a lot of people in this country. I mean, $50 billion worth of damage. It's something that you just can't foresee. Yeah. So as we look at the electoral map, we expected some sort of change in the voter turnout. I mean, last election, 2008, we had the highest voter turnout in this country since 1968. So obviously, we're looking to see a little bit of voter turnout down. Now, as we take a look at the map right now around the nation, we see a lot of red on the central part of this country.
But a lot missing.
But a lot missing. We still don't have Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, huge swing states. We don't have Ohio. New Hampshire is also a swing state that we don't have. Iowa is a swing state. So again, a lot of things that we don't have right now. However, we do have a lot of blue in that Northeast, and that's a lot of electoral votes for the president right now.
Again, we can't really say anything definite right now. No. Well, you know, at this point, we really have to be careful about making any predictions. Like I said, we can't even do much right now. Florida's looking tight. The states that we expect Obama to win, he's doing well. The states we expected Romney to win, he's doing well. And
it's interesting because Florida is one of those states that I really thought was going to go to Governor Romney because, frankly, it was a state that he spent a lot of time in. And it's a state that, you know, it added 2 electoral votes. Huge, huge, huge for Governor Romney to take. He wanted to get those old voters that were, you know, really looking at Obamacare as affecting their future. And we'll see if Governor Romney got that message across in the end.
Well, we talked about a lot tonight. We only have an hour. There would be much more we could do. I wish we could stand here all night. But we do want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight to our MUTV special. Again, keep that hashtag rolling if you guys want to. Hashtag MU election. All of our staff here at MUTV, you know, myself, Kevin, everybody in our control room, our staff, they're going to do great. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Max Hess.
I'm Kevin Ellis.
Good night.